Used drywall compound instead of tile adhesive. How screwed am I? It was an accident. Put most of the backsplash with the proper adhesive. Picked up the wrong bucket for the last 5 square feet. The stuff has almost set, 20 hours. The tile seems to be in place for now. Should I redo? Edit. Paid heed to advice and pulled the tiles off. It was surprisingly easy to come off. Maybe the tile prevented it from drying and setting too fast. The wall has been scraped. We'll allow the remainder to dry out and then sand it. Also soaked the tiles in warm soap water and was able to brush off most of the compound with an old toothbrush. I am set back by a couple days, but that's about it. Redditors saved the day. You guys are awesome. Tear it out. Luckily, if it's just drywall mud, you can soak it and clean the tile. No blood, no penalty, right? It will fall off eventually. Better do it now. You should redo. DIY hidden shower. Hi guys. Hand waving. In this video we will show you how we built a hidden, underfloor shower in our van. Talk about why we chose to build a shower like that and mention a couple of pluses and minuses of having a shower like that after 3 years of use. Grin if someone is thinking of doing something similar. Link. Hidden shower. Novice attempting to construct emergency dog shelter kennels. Advice please, low budget. I am a novice DIYer but converted my van into a microcamper. I have access to some pallets and after much Googling I've come up with a design that needs 3 sheets of OSB board and 3 pallets. Looking at the design, I will use 1 pallet for the bottom and 1 for each side. I think for ease I will put the OSB board on the inside for the bottom and sides. The roof will cover and slightly overhang the entire structure, and the front and back will be fixed to the pallet supports. I know I need to weatherproof the outside and edges of the OSB, but it needs to be relatively safe for dogs. The kennels will be under cover but outside. The pens have a tin roof. Would linseed oil be good enough or MDF primer, or what do you suggest? For the roof, can some spare cheap PVC flooring work as waterproofing? But I assume the bonding glue is toxic to dogs. They have a habit of chewing the entry doors, not the roof. Info. It's an already established shelter in a poor Eastern European country that are over capacity and needs help. I'm not in charge or in a position capable of doing much more than helping within my means. And with a language barrier. European pallets aren't toxic, the OSB board isn't great but not deadly, no formaldehyde. Linseed oil isn't a good outdoor finish. Latex paint is, which is why it's used on most houses. No finishes are really great for the dogs to chew on. But cured latex paint won't poison the dog if it gets some incidentally. You're worried about toxicity to the dogs and building with pallets? You never know what's been on top of a pallet, how much rodenticide it has touched, and you don't want an oily pallet, but at least new pallets are just heat treated now instead of the old nasty creosote, TBTF or ACQ poison skids that built up at the docks 30 years ago. Those clean pallets behind Staples with an IPCC stamp went straight from Georgia Pacific to train, truck to end use. About to mount a 86 inches, 100 pounds, TV, but should I be worried that when drilling the pilot holes, the left stud offered much less resistance than the right stud? I used a stud finder to narrow down the center of the 2x4s, which I'm very confident of. Both studs produced sawdust when drilling the pilot holes, but the left stud didn't offer too much resistance when drilling or screwing the lag bolts. The right stud on the other hand was tough to drill and tough to screw the lag bolts into. Should I be worried, or what could be causing this? The TV mount is rated for 132 pounds. House was built in 2000. Stud finders aren't perfect. You may have hit the right stud on center but just caught the edge of the left one. When I had large retractable awnings installed outside, they went to great lengths to find the exact center of the stud by drilling a horizontal line of tiny pilot holes to find the edges. I'm not saying that's necessary for your 100 pounds TV. But if you are concerned, and since it'll be hidden behind your mount, drill some very small holes to confirm the edge of the left stud. That sounds like date night. I hope she said you're the stud afterward. So, you mounted your wife just to be sure. Possibly a pass-through for wiring, plumbing. God, I hate when people don't use nail guards. Not required in Canada for electrical work according to the Canadian Electrical Code. Only required to put nail guards in place if the hole is drilled less than 32 mm from the edge of the stud. The NEC in US has similar provisions. Though I am not an expert on US code, just Canadian. Plumbers usually use nail guards, in my experience. Electricians don't use them because of cost. The margins on residential new construction are thin. So anything that isn't spec'd, that slows the job down, and that exceeds the minimum code, eats into profits hard. That's the reality. So you can hate on the tradespeople all you want, but your ire is misdirected. If nail guards were spec'd on the build, we'd happily install them, as they would be calculated into the initial bid. Alternatively, most North American code committees have procedures for amendments and suggestions. If you hate it that much, you could ask for an amendment to your local regulations. I'm a licensed electrician in Canada. Not required in Canada for electrical in Canada according to the Canadian Electrical Code. I'm not totally clear, are you talking about Canada? I really shouldn't write first thing in the morning before coffee. I have added a few extra Canadas for clarification, since I agree with you that it seems a little vague. Should I turn my water heater off if some of my pipes are frozen? My kitchen sink froze and there is only a trickle coming out of my bathtub. The bathroom sink is working but the hot water won't work. I'm letting it drip so it will hopefully not freeze like the rest. Should I cut my water heater off from the breaker to prevent possible damage? I have no idea what I'm doing and it never gets this cold where I live. Loudly crying. If you have even a trickle of water coming from the bathtub when it is on the full hot side, your water heater is fine and does not need to be shut off. Additionally, water heaters have a pressure relief valve at the top of the tank for just this reason: to stop them from becoming a BLEVE. Open every tap. On both hot and cold water. The supply from the mains are above freezing, so if you have flow, it will most likely melt anything frozen. If you open the taps fully, there is a risk of basically slugs of ice and slush discharging and getting stuck somewhere else in the system. As you said in another post, it is most likely frozen in a crawlspace. You need to get down there. If there is a serial killer down there, he will not kill you if you bring some sort of heater. Winking face. Have a chat with the landlord or yourself about getting some insulation on those pipes. It will really help, and the cost is neglectable if you just do it yourself. Here in Norway we are able to get some electrical heaters similar to heating cables that you have in your concrete floors. But these are meant to wrap around water pipes to prevent freezing. Get one of those combined with a thermostat, and you should not have to worry about this again. Google Translate this one. This is a cable to prevent freezing. Actually has a thermostat built in. About $50.